Are the wheels coming off? Let's check in with Realtor at North Compass Realty, Nadia Colucci.
All right, we are live with the Nadia Colucci. How are you doing, darling?
Good, how are you?
Great to see you. Are the wheels coming off this real estate market? We're going to get to that.
Okay.
First and foremost, I need your female opinion on this yellow shirt. I've been trying to find a yellow dress shirt for a long time.
Okay.
I ordered this on Amazon.
Oh.
I put it on today, and I kind of feel like I took a trip back to the 90s with the little pocket and all this stuff. Honestly.
No, I don't mind
Give
it
it to
at
me.
all. I don't at all. I think it's a nice, subtle difference between the tie, so I think it works well together. Can I feel it? You got it on Amazon?
Yeah.
That's impressive, and
Yeah.
it fits because you're like longer, so you've got to
Yeah.
find a hard. Well, talk to me after. I have a guy who makes custom shirts
Oh,
for
really?
guys. Yeah, around here locally. 2 weeks. He comes to you.
That's what I need.
Yeah, no, it's
I
nice.
need that yellow.
Or not. I think I like this one better.
All right, fantastic. Well, I appreciate it. You know, it's always a gamble, and the big gamble that people have been making in the past few years is on San Diego real estate. And I say big gamble because people have been paying prices that are much, much higher than the previous few years.
Sure.
So that's always where we know risk is in, if we know we're paying for something what is a lot higher than what it was a few years prior. Now, we've discussed this before,
We have.
but I've been a little bit more pessimistic than you have been.
Uh-huh.
And I've seen the price reductions happening. But it seems as though now we're also seeing more deals fall out of escrow. I just spent some time before you got here looking on the web, just searching properties, just kind of seeing what's out there. It seems like there's a lot more inventory as well. Do you have any comment on any of those things that are taking place?
Well, I think it's a little seasonal too right now.
Is
I find
it?
yeah, a little bit. Usually summer's like this. It didn't used to be years before, but I would say the last few years spring has been our hotter market, and summer ends up taking a little bit of a step back just because you've got families traveling. Everyone in August are trying to get their last trip in before school starts. So I do find that things get a little bit slower, but again, we're still niche market and it's low inventory, and we still have more buyers that want to come here than sellers that want to leave. So that all kind of offsets it. But no, I agree that things are on the market a little bit more. We've talked about how sellers have also potentially can be greedy in this market. And so I think
they can't.
a little
They
bit.
don't do that.
Yeah, they've been doing that a lot. So I think that also contributes. I think there's this frenzy of, you know, you've seen it, where buyers are like, I have to get into something. There's no inventory. It's all everyone's talking about. So they push themselves to make these offers. I don't think they're emotionally attached and they're just throwing out a bunch of offers, maybe misguided sometimes by their professional involved. And then they're in this escrow and they're like, I don't want this house. And there's that. I think a lot of times it's not preparing well financially with the mortgage and issues come up there. I'm seeing a lot of that. One thing I see that's really annoying is the...
She looks around as if anyone's listening.
No one's listening, it's just you and I, we're fine. Is the lack of communication between the professionals involved in the last, I would say, 6 months. Everyone's gotten busier. It's the number one excuse when I'm calling someone 8 times. They're like, I'm so busy. Like, we all are. And that's great, it's a good thing. But manage your business a little bit better in that you're available for that phone call. I have a buyer who's gonna ask me a million questions. They wanna know about the property. They wanna know why the sellers are leaving. I know it doesn't really matter sometimes, but people wanna know that. And a 2-3 minute conversation allows me to calm the buyer down, explain a few things, but I need that listing agent to answer that phone call. And we were recently in a deal where it was a bigger team. Press 1 for Bob, 2 for Stacy, 3 for John, and I'm like, what? So we get in there and I'm like, hey, just a quick call would help here, and I never got a call. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm submitting an offer, but my client is concerned, and I am concerned that the roof is not in good condition. So we'll make a fair market value offer as long as that roof works. I said, any issues, can you ask the sellers? We can negotiate it up front. We don't have to, you know, make the request for repairs if we do this up front. Never got an answer. They're like, just submit. I'm like, okay. Well, guess what? The roof has, actually, sunlight is coming through the roof.
Wow.
In the attic, yeah. So like you can go get a really weird tan up there, like with a bunch of little holes all over you. So we, you know, logically asked for a reduction in price to pay for that roof bid. And they came back with an email and said, we'll give you 1/3 of what it'll cost you, or walk. So we walked. And then 5 days later, they're back and they're like, well, maybe we should renegotiate that. But they called me that time. And I'm like, now my buyer got turned off to the process, the situation. She's a little less willing to renegotiate. It was so unnecessary. We were 2 weeks in escrow, spent money and time on inspections. I just felt it was super unnecessary to do. So a quick 2-minute phone call could have really like helped at least us all prepare for that a little differently and plan how we were going to deal with it up front. So.
Yeah, we've seen this in the mortgage industry this year because refinances were huge last year, and so a lot of producers, loan officers were, they did a lot of great business last year.
Right.
And then refis just kind of went away as rates climbed up a little bit. And then everything changed for them. So they had been really busy. They hadn't been doing some of the certain things they need to be doing to stay in touch with their database and so on and so forth. And now having to go back and jump into doing those things and chasing it, being reactive. And so to me, I see that as another red flag, to be honest with you. When people get so busy and so overly confident, arrogant almost about it. And this happens with sellers too. More often they're just greedy. They just think, well, my house should get an extra $100,000 because we have a better view than that place that sold over there for $100,000 less.
Right.
And they don't think about, oh yeah, but you have 200 less square feet, and no.
Yeah.
So those other things, the compensating factors, that I'm used to, and that's okay. But when you start becoming so arrogant that you think, well, someone's going to overpay for this place if you don't.
Right.
That's when I consider that to be another red flag. We're at the top.
And I'm with you on that. The request for the removal of an appraisal contingency, which we've talked about before, I find that to be a red flag. I don't like that. I don't like my buyers to put themselves in that situation, and I'd rather walk and spend another month looking for a property. But I think
agree.
you have to manage then the greed of the sellers, the greed of the listing agents, and the greed of the buyers too, because the buyers are like, well, I want something. It's got to be perfect. They have a lot of expectations, and they're also, I don't think, as willing to be comfortable with the time that it takes to find the right place. Something's always going to give. It's not perfect. I had a lady the other day tell me that, if the house doesn't have AC, she doesn't want to see it. And I'm like, but all these 8 things that you must have are there. AC we can always put in. It's a $5,000 fit. Like, that's the last thing we use as a criteria to search for property in a low inventory market when you have 8 other things that have to be there, So I think sometimes it's just a matter of spending time with your clients and educating them. I mean, I sat there for 2.5 hours. We talked. We have multiple deals going on with them, buy and sell. It's worth it. They feel comfortable, and I feel comfortable that I kind of prep them for what's about to come. So now they don't think this is all going to be done. We're going to sell 3 properties in a month. It's going to take 3 months, and I just think they come to the table with some pretty high expectations, and then you just kind of have to coach them down to reality.
Coach them down to reality. Good luck with that.
No, thank you.
I know that's your job.
Yeah.
But it's, so are the wheels coming off, I guess is the question. I mean, have you come more towards my side of this thing in the past month?
I like to think that I've always been in the middle because I am a huge proponent of San Diego. I really am. I just think we have it all. I had a buddy come back from the East Coast, no offense, whoever is listening from the East Coast. But
people in the East Coast don't get offended.
That's true.
Don't you know?
They'll just turn me off, which a lot of people do, I guess. So, no, there's something to living here. I think a lot of tourists see it. I think a lot of people that live here see it and appreciate it. There's a little bit more of an expense to be here. We're still the only beach community in California that's still affordable in San Diego. I mean, all of San Diego in comparison.
Affordable is a tough word to use, but I will say this.
Affordable in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, because you always have to compare.
Yeah, to
in
something.
order to say something's affordable, you have to be comparing it to something else.
Sure.
Like San Diego's expensive to everywhere in the Midwest.
Right.
But I will tell you this, in the past 3 weeks, I've been all over the place.
Yeah.
I was in Minnesota for a week for Maya's volleyball, which they got 5th, by the way.
Oh, nice. Good for her.
In nationals.
Good. That's huge.
So only 48 teams qualify. And they got 5th out of 48
for her.
Of those teams. So that was cool. But while in Minnesota, I went for several walks. I went and saw some cathedrals, all the cool stuff I like to normally do. And of course, I had to jump on Zillow and see, like, all right, what are these places going for? Every time I see a house is for sale. There was a house in Minnesota. Now, keep in mind, Minnesota is basically Canada.
Okay.
So it's like, I've been there in June, and it's like perfect temperature.
Okay.
But any other time of the year, it's freezing.
Okay.
Now, the Super Bowl is coming there next year, but I don't think that's any reason to fluctuate real estate. Outside of that, it is what it is. There's a lot of money up there in the Twin Cities, St. Paul, Minneapolis. But I was looking at a house, and it was like 1,600 square feet. Relatively redone, nice.
Okay.
Small, normal yard in a suburban area. They went $489,000 for it. And I'm thinking, that looks like a San Diego price.
I was going to say, it seems a little pricey.
What the heck?
Yeah.
So then I started looking at some more stuff in that neighborhood. They had houses go all the way up to $1 million.
Really?
Yeah, in this neighborhood, it was a nice little neighborhood.
What's the biggest home, roughly, if you had to
Nothing great. Biggest, most expensive?
Yeah, or like the $1 million one, what would
The
that
$1
be?
million houses were like 6 bedrooms, you
Okay.
know, 4 bathrooms, big houses, big lot.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
But still, it's $1 million and you're in Minnesota.
Close to the city?
Not really.
No?
Suburb.
Okay.
Suburb.
Okay.
Then spent the last couple weeks in Iceland, Amsterdam, and
Spain.
Barcelona and Madrid.
Yeah.
And I had to go and look and see
You
what.
poor thing, by the way.
I
You
know.
okay?
Terrible,
You around?
terrible,
All right,
terrible
all right.
life.
Just want to make
but
sure.
the I always look at the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I always look to see what it costs.
And?
And it's insanely expensive.
Yeah.
Insanely expensive.
So should we all move to Barcelona? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm telling you, and this is me jumping a little on your side of this,
Mm-hmm.
that it's, when you say affordable, and we're comparing it, and you start to look at some of the other big cities, resources are funneling into these big cities. Right. And I think affordable is a tough word to use for most people because they compare it to what they can afford.
Yeah.
So if I can afford it, then it's affordable. If I cannot afford it, it is unaffordable.
Right.
And that's
So
how
it's
most
subjective,
people look
you're
at
saying.
it. Yeah.
Right. It's depending on the person
Correct.
that's using the word.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's a tough word to use because every single person, it means something different to them.
Right.
But from my perspective, just looking at all those places I was at, first of all, Iceland's insanely expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and it is almost unlivable most of the time. Amsterdam, great, beautiful place.
Yeah.
Not much is expensive other than the real estate.
Okay.
Everything else is totally reasonable and affordable. A lot of things that they do in Amsterdam that I don't partake in. But I'm just saying,
don't make me ask you.
I do price check. I'm a curious consumer. What can I say? So, but then in Spain now, Barcelona was definitely a little bit of a shocker for me when I saw how much the real estate was. Because I mean,
Popular beach city, right?
it
I mean,
is. It's just like San Diego. That's the thing. That's what I'm getting to, is that Barcelona is the closest thing I think there is to San Diego in the world. It's very, very similar climate. They have palm trees. I mean, I show you
That's true,
pictures
yeah.
of Barcelona. It looks just like San Diego.
That's true, yeah.
The beach, there's palm trees.
Except people are topless and in
beautiful.
Speedos. Yeah, it's the only difference.
Yes, banana hammocks everywhere.
Everywhere.
What's up with
Yeah.
that?
And they're like that bright yellow that you
I
like.
know. Seriously, what is up with that? Like,
Oh, no.
don't you progress from the banana hammock?
I don't know. Listen,
Anyway.
I spent a lot of time growing up there in the summers, and
I was going to say,
hasn't
from
changed
Italy,
from
it's probably the same thing there.
Still the same.
But I was looking at real estate in Barcelona, and it is, wow.
Yeah.
Like 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom in the city, €450,000.
Yeah, it's like New York-ish. It's not quite there because it's still beach,
It was
but
easily more expensive than San Diego.
yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And I would say that San Diego has way more to offer. Way more to offer.
You're proving a little bit more.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the international travels and the things that went on there, a lot of that stuff is very much leaning towards San Diego still being comparably more affordable than what some of these other places are.
Right.
Now Madrid, drastically more expensive than Barcelona.
Really? I'm not a fan of Madrid as much.
I love Madrid.
You
There's
do?
There's so many good things there. There's lots of good vegan food, which
Oh,
you know,
well,
yeah,
that is
it's
important to
everywhere.
find,
I mean,
yeah.
less than half a mile at any point you can find a great vegan
That's
joint.
cool.
The art is there. I mean,
Yeah.
the theater is amazing there. There's a lot of population there. They have a lot going on there. But I wouldn't say there's a lot of money there. However, the cheapest thing that I saw on the rental scale was €1,600 a month, and it was 25 square meters, whatever that is. I don't know.
Like the size of this?
It's a stage.
Yeah.
It's nothing. And so I looked at that and I was like, wow. I mean, that's New York.
Yeah, that is.
That's New York price.
Yeah.
Like it's gotten to that point in Madrid. So if that's all what's really happening out there, if that's really what the deal is, then it becomes, I think, a population play more than anything else.
Right. But you're also picking like the top cities in Europe. Rome's the same, Paris is the same. I've always found that London, always a little pricier. It brings such a draw, and I think that kind of...
But don't you think San Diego's one of the top cities?
And there you go. So I do think we are one of the top cities. Now I think we might, like you've said, with a couple of them, you only want Minnesota, for example, and then Iceland. You can live there, 1 month out of the year. You can be here pretty much every month of the year, minus February kind of sucks a little bit sometimes. That's the only...
Really?
Yeah, well, because it's my birthday. Always rains on my birthday. Go figure. No, but then I just shoot out to Palm Springs. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and I'm in like 80, 90 degree weather. I mean, doesn't suck.
Yeah. No,
So,
and when we were in Madrid, it was 100 degrees.
oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was one day it was 104 degrees.
It's crazy. And then there's like no air funneling through because you're in the city. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
you're
mind 100
elevated.
when you're on the beach, but...
It's tough. You're
Yeah.
elevated half a mile.
Yeah.
The city's half a mile above sea level, and so anyway, I'm saying we've got a lot going on here.
Yeah.
And so when I say the wheels coming off, I don't mean like, hey, no, it's a disaster. The sky is falling. I'm saying, is it the wheel wobbling? Is
Well,
the wheel wobbling?
As long as we can correct and, when it starts to wobble, every wheel at some point gives out. You just have to either, pump some more air into it, readjust it, realign it, whatever it is. So if, we're aware of that and you make smarter decisions, and hopefully you have good people guiding you to help point out some things that, you might otherwise make a mistake. Buyers they want, again, they have this list of 8 things they want. And I said, if you're patient, let's wait for that. But then a month or 2 in, they're like, I haven't seen anything. I'm like, but you have a very tall order, so you have to be patient for it. And they say they are, then it turns out they're not. And they're like, what am I missing? Maybe I will do this, maybe. And that's where I start sensing a little bit of that desperation. And I think that just comes with, again, understanding what it is that is best for you and your family, feeling confident in that, and then waiting for that. And get rid of the idea that it's going to be a perfect. It's just not. You're going to, have to
Patient,
adjust.
another word that is defined by
by
each individual.
it's subjective, yeah. And I get it. I'm not a patient person.
Yeah, some people are. They say they're patient, and then
and they're not. Most of them aren't.
Watch them wait in line for 5 minutes without the line moving at all.
Oh, well.
And then see if they're patient.
They'll be on their phone. They'll be fine. They'll be playing Candy Crush or something, or at least I would.
People still play that?
Yes.
Quick shout outs, Jeff Campbell, who's commented here. What's up, Jeff? And Brian Austin, I appreciate it, my friend, because I've been very self-conscious about this shirt with the pocket, this
Brian,
1990s.
what about my green dress? I get no looking good, buddy?
Yeah, no looking good. No looking good for you,
Guess
man.
I'm not.
Yeah,
Not today.
That's
It's
tough.
a bummer.
Not today. Any advice, Nadia, for us based on what's going on and what you've seen and what you think people should do?
Well, I still think interest rates are obviously really great and competitive. We talked about this before. If for the wheels to maybe realign, having those interest rates come up a bit might stabilize some of this greed that you're seeing from the sellers. Maybe remind people that everyone's busy, so take a step back, plan your day a little bit better. I'm talking about the agents. Pick up the phone, call someone back, small things like that. But I find that to be the bigger problem. And you run into each other again, so you want to create a good environment for your peers.
We're going to have Nadia come back and teach a class
to realtors?
how to
Yeah.
sell real estate in San Diego.
Well, and then
I would agree with you, though. I think it's in the agent's hands. Because I think if the agents recognize that this isn't going to last forever,
right,
and that, you have to really just quietly let this thing settle on its own. Like, don't just let it hit, Let's quietly and slowly, hey, okay. Let's be cool about it. Let's be cool.
Right, but I think people are sometimes motivated by...
Like Yolanda in Pulp Fiction, be cool.
Be cool. Or like the housewife, Luann, be cool, don't be all uncool. I can't believe I just quoted the housewives, that's awesome.
We just got a shout out from Felix Torti, who says, Nadia is the best realtor I know. Heart.
Oh, what a
heart,
stud.
heart, double
Thanks,
heart.
Felix.
Gotta love that.
That's sweet.
I
Good
agree.
client.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that it's a lot in the hands of the agents.
It is, and I think motivated by quality and not quantity. A lot of people think like, oh, I got to strike while the iron's hot, and let me, get as many deals as I can. I still think if you handle each deal correctly, it pays off, much more than just having big numbers for, a month or a quarter or anything like that. And I think that's where a little bit of that greed pops in, but for all parties.
Yeah.
So I'd say, patience is important. Having the right guidance is too, because then it sets your expectations. And then if you know it's a 6-month process, if you know we're going to write 15 offers and probably lose them all, you know, your mind, you just start to adjust to that, and it's a little bit easier. And there's not this surge to get into this property that a week later you're like, wait, I don't even think I want this property.
Yeah. Can we still get out? All right,
Yeah.
let's get out.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that's great. For
So we try. We have a low turnover for that, but nationwide, you know, we're seeing it was an increase by 5% in first-time home buyers falling out. Sale fails is what they call them.
Sale fails.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in today. Really
Thanks for
appreciate your time. It's
having
always
me.
great to see you. You look amazing.
Thank you. So do you, and I like that yellow.
You do?
I vote for this yellow versus. Can you guys pan out to that yellow and see what he's talking about? Because maybe we should vote on that.
We hide that yellow these days because, well, not everyone loves yellow as much as I do.
I love it. Just
People don't
that's
like
a bright
colors.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
good.
Stick around for more Smart San Diego today right here on the Facebook page. We are live. And of course, if you're looking to buy or sell real estate in San Diego, you want to work with the best realtor I know, according to Felix Torti, Heart, Nadia Colucci is the one. Stick around. We'll see you soon.